Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mo, and today we are going to be looking at the newly reworked Nidus. He has undergone a significant amount of changes that makes him so much better than he was before. Just removed a lot of the clunk in general, just made his kit modernized. The biggest change, I think, has been to his one, but we'll go over all of the changes in detail as we go. But first, we're going to be looking at the build we're going to be using. There are two different builds that I think have come about because of this rework. The first one is the classic press one, have fun, stomp till you drop. It is nothing different than what Nidus has been doing before. It is basically using Virulence as your main form of damage. Larva for grouping. I think that his 4 is still probably his worst ability by far, and you're going to subsume that. But that is up to personal preference. Maybe there's something to do with his 4 that you could maybe make a build out of. I don't know. I haven't experimented with it enough, but from what I've been told, it is just still not very good. But basic standard Umbral build. Adaptation is personal preference. I like it, especially since he doesn't have the highest health value still. But he did get buffs to his overall survivability, so that is a huge benefit that he has. The second build that he has is involving Larva Burst, which is dealing toxin damage, so you can take advantage of that continuity. It gives you a few different options that you can work with. I personally prefer this build more than the second one, but again, up to personal preference. I think that they are both equally viable and have their strengths and weaknesses. But I will be demonstrating both of them, but I will only be showing the testing of this one. So we will go with the Larva Burst build first to show you how that all functions. Essentially involves grouping as many as possible because the damage you get when you detonate is equivalent to how many you obtain with the larva. That Archon continuity is also a great thing that you can take advantage of with this, primarily because, you're inflicting toxin damage, so you also get those corrosive, you get that armor strip innately. Pretty strong at just killing on its own, especially for enemies that don't have as high of a health value as these do. These are still pretty tanky, and even then, it's doing good damage to them. Like I said, I'm sure that there's ways you could tweak this to take it even farther than it is. But this is just to give you an idea of how this build functions. And also, it's building stacks on its own, as you can see, so you still get stacks from doing this. You don't even need to rely on your one necessarily. Although I do think his one is absolutely phenomenal now, which I will show you shortly. Get out of here. Virulence has become so much better than it ever has been, and I am so happy with the changes that have been made to it. Namely, the casting speed isn't capped anymore, which is one of the biggest pain points. So you don't need to be up against the wall to get the maximum cast speed out of it. You can just spam this to your heart's content. You can also see how quickly stats build up now. I have them all in a group with larva. They're just going right up there. And now this does take some time to build up, which you will see in the actual field test of this build. But especially if I use strip armor, I really do like Jade's subsume for this, because it's a very good way to get armor strip on them, since it's just you're looking at them anyways inside the larva. Like I said, we're that took maybe like a minute or two, and we're already up to 150 stacks. You can see how quickly the damage of this starts to ramp up here as well. Especially once they have their armor stripped. You don't even need to be casting larva for this as well. You can just raw dog it. And it has pretty good range as well. It also leaves lingering pieces around, so that assists you even further. And because of the energy refund, you can just spam this like no tomorrow. I've gone from having 2 strength shards to just having casting speed, just because the new additions to this is so nice. Just how fast you can cast this now. is wonderful. Eventually, you don't even need the armor strip after a certain point of time. It just gets strong enough to not really need it. At 326 stacks. The new augment actually takes it up to 500 as well. One of the other major buffs he's had while we're here is that his tether can now link to allies, such as free-roaming pets. It does not work with sentinels, but if you have a Kubro, a Kabat, a Moa, anything like that, it will link to that, so you don't need to rely on an enemy to do that. And that is a wonderful buff. I still am not a huge fan of it, because I don't like needing line of sight for it. Or just maintaining it as general. I think he's tanky enough as is to not really need it, at least not for most content. It's more of an endgame scaling that he'll want that for. Once we get to max stats here, you'll really see how much damage this starts to do, even without an armor strip. We should be hitting 500 here shortly. Like I said, God forbid they are armor strip and they are vulnerable in that sense. You could also opt for corrosive projection on this as well to really help you with that sort of damage if you don't want to use an armor strip of any kind. Like I said, I think once you hit the max stacks with this thing, I think it really just isn't very necessary. Like I said, these are heavy gunners with high health, high armor. This is still doing a pretty good job of tearing through them. And like I said, once you have armor strip, and you're only seeing these enemies every so often, so this is going to chew through fodder pretty quickly. I'll do one more with the armor strip, and then I will take you all to the field test. Like I said, because you're looking at them anyway. Like I said, it tends to 2-3 shot them, especially if they're armor stripped. Pretty efficient in that. Harder to do it when they're not grouped, but you get the idea. Like I said, I will take you all to the field test and showcase this build there. Here we are back at the testing grounds, the stomping grounds. Quite literally the stomping grounds this time. We will get to it quickly once we find wherever the enemies are. All that energy refund, build up stacks as quickly as possible. And if you're ever like in a panic, you can just do this. That helps a ton. I personally don't like keeping it up all the time. I just like using it as an oh shit button. This 3, that is. Out of this hellhole here. Some more open ground. Can actually do damage. And I mean, Larva is still as good of an ability as it ever has been. It's always been an amazing ability. Ah, here's a good open tile. Like, it obviously clears trash mobs pretty handily. Like I said, it does take some time to ramp up, but par for the course is Nidus. There we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. And you can see how fast his stacks build up now. I am at 160 something, and we are barely 2 minutes into the mission. Before, this would have taken, like, 10 minutes or so, at least. Even if you were going at a pretty efficient rate. Yeah, there really isn't much more to it other than the fact that one just feels so much better to cast in general. Unlike before where you had to be up against the wall to get casting rates like this. They just completely fixed that. It is wonderful as is now. It is everything I could have asked for when they fixed this one. It feels almost like a pseudo-exalted. Just in terms of like, oh, this is just an alternative to using your guns at this point. We still haven't even hit max ramp up here. There's still so much more damage that we can do with this. We're at about 200, almost 300 stacks. We can still go higher as well. And also Virulence and Larva both give stacks just by themselves. So just stacks build faster in general at a better rate than they ever did before. Which is a big improvement. And I still think this is probably far from the most optimal build you could ever have. I still have a lot to mess with him still, but from what I have done, he just feels so much better. Also, just the little bits of survivability that he got as well, just having higher health, higher armor, I think he got as well. Just, I think those really do make some of the biggest difference for him. Look at that life support. Ooh, man. Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, we're just starting to one-tap stuff at this rate. I'm pretty sure we can even stomp out the acolytes pretty effectively. You will leave me alone. If he will leave me alone... The worst acolyte they probably could have sent to mess with me is here. There we go. There we go. No, he gets through acolytes pretty easily with his one. If it cooperates and it's not violence specifically. But that's what you have guns for. That is precisely what you have guns for. And again, just the little bits of things that have been added to his survivability are just so nice. They really do help. Because that was one of the things, is that he had to build for survivability, but he also wanted damage and, like, actual ability mods. So we kind of had this weird problem of not being able to hybrid for both. Because he just did not have the space for it with that, and he needed augments. But now he's just been given, like, a little bit of leeway in his mod space, and it really shows, I think. I think that's honestly been one of the better changes to him, is that he just has space in his mod pool for all of the stuff now that he needs to. And here we are at max stacks. It means they're weirdly staggering. I'm still getting plenty of life support. More than enough to sustain myself. Yeah, we're almost already back up to full here. Like I said, the kill rate you get with this thing, and oh, here's War. You can smash him to death too. He's just gone. Yeah, like I said, I think they really did a number on Nidus. I think they've really fixed him very well. I cannot wait for what I can only presume to be Limbo in the next rework. Pablo has been hinting at this on Twitter, so I am more than excited. But I will see you all later.